Welcome everyone to week 2 of our MetaPWR revived class. So we are very honored. I'm Heather Esslinger. I'm from Wake Forest, North Carolina, and I'm a diamond in dōTERRA. I'm a nurse by profession and have been with the company and using these with my family for about 10 years. I'm co-hosting tonight with Trisha. She is from Columbus, Ohio. She was, I guess, I'm going to see some of you at the post-convention towards the end. And I'm honored to be able to share this time with her as well. And then we have Sue, who will be helping us with Wheel of Names at the end for our giveaways. So I want to do a brief introduction for Nicole. When I asked her, she's been with dōTERRA kind of a little bit longer, but I've loved seeing how your involvement with dōTERRA and with educating us has evolved. So I have loved seeing you grow into this space as well. And when I asked her to share some things about her to share with you guys tonight, I have to say I was a bit wowed by your list, by your professional as well as your personal list of things that she enjoys. And I want to share some of those with you tonight to get us started. And this is Dr. Nicole Stevens. She has conducted essential oil research for over 20 years. She's worked in quality control laboratories and the nutraceutical industry, as well as academic research laboratories at the University of Utah and the University of Nevada, Las Vegas Cancer Research Institute. Along with research, she has taught classes in chemistry and biochemistry. Nicole has been researching dōTERRA essential oils since the company was formed in 2008. Currently, she serves as Director of Clinical Research. Nicole earned her bachelor's degree in technical writing and a master's in botany. She completed her doctorate in biochemistry and molecular biology from the University of Miami's Miller School of Medicine. And Nicole is currently pursuing a second master's degree in public health and epidemiology from Purdue University. That right there made me tired, right? It made my brain tired. Then she shared her personal things on a personal note. She loves hiking with her family in the mountains, painting, photography, crocheting, and bike riding. She loves to play music and knows how to play several instruments, including, not only one, y'all, like listen to this list here. If I mispronounce one of the instruments, please excuse that. She knows how to play the piano, the violin, the clarinet, the ukulele, the lyre, kalimba, and I'm going to have to give you details what that is, kalimba, and is learning how to play the guitar. She enjoys writing and recently finished writing a science fiction novel that she hopes to publish someday, currently working on a sequel. She has about 20 different species of plants around her house and yard and has been very passionate about plant science since she was a child. Her favorite essential oils are spearmint, peppermint, bergamot, and magnolia. So wow, you are such a well-diverse person, as y'all can see from her bio and what she shared with us. And it is a real honor for you to be here tonight and us to be able to glean and learn from your expertise. So if you don't have a pen and paper, grab one real quick because she is going to be sharing all kinds of her favorite things. When we asked her to share with us tonight, it was her favorite things behind this system and the development behind it and how we can know that it is helping and supporting our bodies. So thanks, Nicole.
Excellent. Oh my goodness. Thank you so much. And you did a great job. Those are some kind of wacky instruments. I know my kids kind of make fun of me. I love to just, I don't know, get out there and try stuff. The kalimba is that little one. If you've seen it, you play it with your fingers. It's like the little finger piano. I don't know if you've seen that one, but it's really fun. So yeah, I am so excited to be joining with you guys tonight. I love talking about the MetaPWR system, and honestly, at convention, we weren't able to share a tenth, a hundredth of the cool things about it. So I'm excited to take a few minutes tonight and share with you a little bit more about kind of some behind the scenes stuff about how it was developed and some of the things, hopefully, maybe you can pick up a little something new, or at least continue to be excited about this amazing system. So I am going to try and share my screen. My computer's being a little wacky, so we're going to see what happens. See if I can get it. Oh, can you enable screen sharing for me? I just had a couple of slides I was going to share.
Let me see how to do that. Sorry, guys. Share screen.
Hey there, Heather, just make Dr. Nicole one of the co-hosts, but you have to enable that from your end.
Okay, I'm trying to figure out how to do that.
On her participants or on her square, you can see the little dots and be able to make her co-host.
Okay. She's not having dots right now.
You can
All
go
right.
to participants
you,
and then
Heather.
look for her name. And for those of you that are in the comments, you can type your comments and questions, and then we'll look through those and be asking Dr. Nicole a little bit later some of those questions as well.
All right, now we're going to do this. I had to go back out, and now I'm going. All right, so you should have some of those.
Yeah, I saw it. Okay, there you go. This is it. We got this.
We got it.
Okay. Let's see if this is going to work. I am so sorry. I just changed computers at work and I realized that all my permissions are weird now. So if we can't get this to work, I will just talk through some cool stuff with you. We'll see if that's going to work. Goodness, I'm so sorry, you guys. Okay, 1 second. Love technology, and yet it just is a pain sometimes. Okay, I'm so sorry. I don't know if it's going to let me share. It's telling me I don't have the right permissions open. So what we'll do instead, I had some slides ready to go, but I want you to kind of think back. I'm hoping a lot of you got a chance to attend convention where we got to launch the MetaPWR system. And what I loved about that was hopefully we were able to also start to give you a little bit of background in metabolism, because that's really where the magic of this is going to come into play. And so I wanted to talk a little bit about that tonight, but I wanted to start farther back than that. We didn't get a chance to talk about how cool it was when this whole system was developed, like the roots of it. So I'm going to share with you from my perspective where it started, and you may hear a different story from other people because there were several different pathways that kind of led to this end result. So about 7 years ago, I remember I was standing in my kitchen and I got a phone call from Dr. Hill. And he said, Nicole, we need to do better with metabolism. And I was like, okay, great. So we started brainstorming and he said, okay, I know we got oils that can help. I know lifelong vitality is doing some of those things, but how can we hit this harder? And at the time I was already planning on going back to school, getting my doctorate degree. And I said, I think I can help you out with that because I would love to study this as part of my doctorate degree. So over the course of the next few years, as we were studying this, Dr. Hill and I would get our heads together. We formulated different formulas of essential oils that ultimately kind of helped us in the development of the MetaPWR oil blend and some of the other products. But really, it was just this idea of metabolism is at the heart of our health, basically. It is the basis of what our cells are doing every moment of every day. So how do we best support that? So each of the pieces of the MetaPWR system are kind of coming at this from a different angle. Now, I want you to, and I'm so sorry, I wish I had my pictures and I could get them to share with you, but I want you to think about the picture. If you were there at convention, Dr. Osgathorpe showed this picture of part of the metabolic process, right? And it was just this horrifically complex graph, a chart showing all these different pathways. And I love that because that is so complex. And yet the result of that is deliciously simple, which is, as we're supporting our cellular processes and mechanisms, we are supporting our entire body, everything that goes on within our body. So the different pieces of the MetaPWR system are intended to do just that. So I wanted to talk about each piece really briefly. And again, this is a little bit of review of what we heard at convention, but maybe my idea was to hopefully help us see how they're all working together. Am I okay? Is my video being weird? Okay, good, sorry. So the oil blend, I really think is kind of at the heart of the system. Now, this was what was started 7 years ago and worked through various iterations. And we brought in our wonderful Slim and Sassy blend and said, okay, can we now take what we know about the metabolic effects of essential oils and optimize our Slim and Sassy blend? What has always amazed me is that, you know, a lot of these essential oils and essential oil blends were started long before we had the instrumentation to study them the way that we can now. But, you know, Dr. Hill, Rob Young, our executives know these oils so well that they have done an amazing job with the products. And now years later, as we're studying them and looking at them in different ways, we're finding, wow, these are amazing products. And now we can even make them one step better, which I think is exactly what happened with MetaPWR. So if you remember the story from convention, or if you weren't at convention, we'll just do a quick review on that. Basically, we were looking at our Slim and Sassy blend. We were looking at the research that we had on other essential oil blends for metabolism. We put them into a new process, looking at the metabolic processes of cells. Okay, so cells in a Petri dish. Now, why did we do that? Why didn't we just, you know, do big human studies? The truth is, we have to understand a little bit what's happening down on that cellular level before we do our big studies. So that is what we call preclinical research. The results that we shared at convention with the Slim and Sassy blend were our preclinical studies, where we're looking at metabolism, we're looking at pathways. And in this case, we were able to show that the Slim and Sassy blend worked great for helping cells manage their fat storage, right? It could interrupt the signals that told the cells to store fat. But as part of that process, as we were optimizing, as we were taking all the things that we had learned over the course of my doctorate work and over the course of all the other research that we were doing, we were able to then take that information, optimize the Slim and Sassy blend to become the MetaPWR blend. And I'm so sorry, I don't have my charts and pictures because they're so pretty just to look at. But what we saw was that those cells were storing less fat. Now, what I couldn't really go into detail on at convention was this. Those cells in the Petri dish, we were sending them every possible signal to store fat, to store lots of fat, to get really, really big. And the essential oil blend was interrupting that signal and was saying, no, you really don't need to store fat. You can just stay nice and healthy. You can stay nice and lean. And that was really amazing to us. It also reminded us of what we have known for a long time, that essential oils are excellent messengers. They allow our cells to talk to each other better. They allow our cells to talk to their own machinery within themselves better. And that's exactly what we're seeing with the MetaPWR blend optimized. So the even more exciting news is we're now doing the follow-up, the full human clinical studies that get to come after that. So now that we have an idea of what the blend is doing, what we're looking for, that's how we're able to organize our clinical studies that follow that up. Now, what we hope to gain from our further research is how do we dose it? So the amount, the times of day to take it, the ways that are the best to take it, and under what circumstances. That's really the questions that my team and I love to answer is how now does this apply to us as people? How can we incorporate this better into our lives? So right now, our recommendations are to use it as we had been using Slim and Sassy, to, you know, put a drop in the water, to some people like to take it in the capsule, or we have the soft gels that are already with the MetaPWR blend. Diffuse it. You know, I actually like to use it as a topical massage oil as well, with some fractionated coconut oil on, you know, those trouble spots. That's my favorite place to put it. It's great. Now, this is one thing, you know, if you've got sensitive skin, be mindful. These are very active oils. They're oils that help, you know, send the signals to your fat cells. So I tell people, try it out topically. That may not be the way that you like to use it best. Most people like to use it internally or diffuse it, but you can use it all three ways. I love it all three ways. So that really, I think, that's kind of the heart of the MetaPWR system. The MetaPWR essential oil blend is in all the products across the line, and it is this amazing blend of essential oils. Now, this is the other cool thing. We didn't get a chance to talk about this, but think about the oils in the MetaPWR line, right? Think about the oils in the MetaPWR line. Some of them are very intuitive for metabolism, right? We've got our limonene essential oils, grapefruit and lemon. We've got our cinnamon essential oil, cinnamaldehyde. And then you get the ginger and the peppermint, and you go, why would someone put that in a metabolic blend? And I initially thought this too, right? When I was first coming to dōTERRA, and they were doing this Slim and Sassy blend long ago, I thought, why would those oils be so good in there? Any thoughts on that? Have you ever thought about that? I'll be curious. You let your thoughts run for a minute, but let me tell you some really cool stuff. Peppermint and ginger, what are they most commonly known for? Think about that. What do we most commonly use our peppermint and our ginger for? Oh, I see in the chat. Helps with nausea, stomach, digestion, tummy. Right. So why in the world would this be in a metabolic blend? Here's the genius. Here's why I love the way that our executives have intuitively known all these things about essential oils. How do we get our nutrients from our food to our body? It has to go through digestion first. We have to be able to support the digestive process, the nutrient absorption, in order to even go to metabolism and have this metabolic activity. So I love that the MetaPWR oil blend is this support for that part of the process, and it's a support for then the downstream metabolic effects of that process. I mean, how cool is that? So that these are the things that I've been thinking about, you know, ever since we started talking about this metabolic line. And I love that now we are talking to people who are using the essential oil blend, and they're saying, number one, I love the way it tastes. It helps with my appetite. It helps with my satiety. And they're noticing that, you know, they have this better energy. They have this improved balance in the way that their body's handling nutrients. And that is exactly the hope, right? That is the goal. So I see a comment here that they haven't diffused it. This is actually a really cool essential oil blend. I like to diffuse it sometimes in the afternoon. That's one of my trouble spots. You know, I'll start to get kind of snacky because I get stressed out in the afternoon. It's toward the end of the day. I don't have everything done yet. I'm feeling like I just want to put some chocolate in my mouth, really. And I'll be honest, sometimes I still do. But when I diffuse my Slim and Sassy, when I pop a piece of gum in, Slim and Sassy, I keep calling it Slim and Sassy. When I diffuse my MetaPWR, pop a piece of gum in, pop a beadlet in, it's amazing what it can do. And the other tool we're going to talk about with the rest of the system. So anyway, that's some cool tidbits on the oil blend. Now, let's talk about assist for a minute. Now this one, okay, so this one we started developing later in the process, so maybe 5 years ago. So it kind of was this progression, starting with the oil blend, at least from my perspective, and then going to the assist. Now, this one, of course, one of the star players, the mulberry leaf extract. This is the amino sugar that's blocking the enzyme that normally snips up our carbohydrates into glucose. That's a lot of big words, but basically what's happening is, again, we're telling our body to kind of ignore some of the carbohydrates that we eat and not process them so that they can pass through. And ultimately what they do is provide food for our gut microbiome. Now, the other cool ingredients in there, there's some cinnamon extract, there's some berberine. Both of these also have their own research for metabolic support, for helping to manage, in this case, blood glucose. Right. So first we were talking about fat metabolism. Now we can talk about blood glucose for a minute. This is really the meat and potatoes, so to speak, of metabolism, what most people think about when they're talking about their metabolism, right? The blood sugar rising, falling. So this one, we were able to do our 2 human clinical studies. So we did our preclinical research, saw good things in the metabolic pathways. We did our 2 human clinical studies on the Assist product. And it was funny, my team and I, we all tested this on ourselves first, right? We love being our own guinea pigs. So we were all walking around with CGMs on our arms. And honestly, if I'm being really, really honest, I wasn't expecting to see a big change for myself. I am vegetarian, I've been gluten-free for quite a long time. Pretty good diet, right? I didn't think I was going to see much for myself, but I'd never actually seen what my blood sugar did. And when we had the CGM on and we were taking the Assist, I was stunned. Like normally I would get, my peaks would tend to be like negative, and I would get these kind of hypoglycemic moments throughout my day where I would just feel awful. I'd feel like I was, dragging, like I couldn't be awake. And I was stunned to see when I would take the Assist, just like we showed in the data at convention, we would go from peaks, valleys, to just this nice kind of even line throughout the day. And I was noticing this for myself too. And even in the night, it was just kind of this evening of my blood glucose, which very frankly surprised me a lot. So we did our clinical studies and we saw the same thing in some of our participants. One participant that was in the study, we didn't realize, but she also kind of was on the lower end of things rather than spiking up high. We didn't know this until the end, or she may not have actually been in the trial, but it wasn't to dangerous levels, but it was interesting to see that she was also kind of modulated by this Assist to more even levels throughout the day. And she said, I had no idea. I feel amazing. So much more energy. So this to us was very exciting. We thought this is a product that probably most people can use, even people with healthy diets. Sometimes, as we age, we're not quite as good at managing our blood sugar. Our bodies just naturally aren't as good at doing that. So, for someone, I'm not in my 20s anymore or my 30s. So it was interesting to see those changes for ourselves and then in the clinical trial as well. Now, we're getting ready to publish the results of those 2 clinical studies. So one of them was kind of our potency dose finding study in a small amount of people where we had 2 different groups testing 2 different doses to see how that would work. And then a larger study where we went with the dose that was the most efficacious. And both of those will probably be combined in the same publication. But once we have that, we'll be excited to share it with you so you can take it and show it to doctors or scientists or anyone interested, so they can have an idea of how they might be able to incorporate it into their life as well. So that's kind of the Assist, a little bit of the backstory of that one. And then the Advantage came along, and this one, I think I've heard the most stories from people. So the post-convention tour, we're out on the road, we're talking to people. I think I've heard the most stories about people using the Advantage. Maybe because it's super easy to use. People are already familiar with collagen type of supplements. But what I love about this one is that it's not just a collagen supplement. And what it does with the collagen, it does so well, right? I've done collagen supplements before and not really known why they weren't doing anything for me. But I think I know now, right? We heard at convention from Alex DeBell about how this collagen is specifically hydrolyzed to be these absorbable pieces of the collagen that our bodies can then use as building blocks. And that's just one piece of the advantage. I love that it's also the NMN story with our cellular energy, and that it's got the resveratrol. So we've got an antioxidant story. I think this product really is fantastic at kind of now approaching this other side of metabolism that also gets into aging and cellular efficiency. So when we were doing our initial study on this one, the results that we presented at convention were in a very small cohort of people. And we got some feedback of people saying, why did you do such a small study? And this was, I think this was important, and I wish we'd had time to address this more in convention, but that kind of a study is actually very common. It's what we call a pilot. And it is helping us to understand what kind of endpoints do we need to look for? What kind of data should we be collecting? How many people are we going to need for a large scale study? What is the kind of, to speak statistically, what are the standard deviations of our population? So basically we know how to set up a larger study. So the really cool and exciting news is we actually are going to be doing a larger study on the Advantage starting within a few weeks. We would love for you guys to be involved with us. We're going to get the word out probably on social media. We're going to get the word out to anyone who's on our clinical research email list. And we would love to be able to have you guys help us now do this full clinical study on our Advantage product. The results that we've seen so far and the results we've heard about from people who've been using it are incredible. We've heard from people who they say they've seen improvements in skin and in hair. They've seen improvements in their cognitive focus. They've seen improvements in how they're sleeping. They've seen improvements in how their joints feel and how they're moving. So we're going to plan on capturing these endpoints now as actual data points in this study. And we're setting it up as, double-blind, randomized, placebo-controlled, all these good, everything you'd want in a clinical trial. So we're super excited about that. And we also, this was the coolest slide that I wanted to show you. I wish I had it. I wanted to show you kind of all the ways that this is just the beginning, right? We've talked about how publications are coming out. We've got publications coming out on both the study that we did for our oil blend and the studies that we've done for our assist product. And then we'll get some more publications coming out from the studies that are upcoming. And those were where I wanted to take just a minute here before we answer some questions. So we're going to have a study on the Advantage. Have you guys heard, or are you aware of the MetaPWR challenge, the 30 or 60 day MetaPWR challenge? Do you guys know about that? Okay, I see some heads nodding. So here's the cool part about that too. And I'll give you just a little sneak peek because we haven't announced this to the full group yet, but we are going to be collecting data on the back end from this study. And we're hoping to get this data from thousands of you who are doing the trial, the challenge. So this could be the largest study dōTERRA has ever done. And you guys, if you are wanting to and willing to and doing the challenge, could be part of that. So stay tuned for how that can come about if you're interested, because honestly, we love having you guys help us with the clinical research on these dōTERRA products. We love our participants. We're so grateful for anyone who's willing to come help us test these out and get some data behind them. So there's that one that's coming up as well. And then, we're always, dōTERRA, we're always looking for additional new amazing ways to add to our product lines and support the products that are out there. So more exciting stuff is coming up that I can't talk about too much, but just know that we want to be able to get you guys involved how you can. We want to be able to share published peer-reviewed data with you as soon as we can. And, we're also getting into really cool things like epigenetics and like metabolomics and in silico modeling of molecules and all these amazing things that are coming out the technology is just starting now to support what we want to look at for the essential oils. So I'll just kind of end by saying we are thrilled and excited about this system. And this really is the beginning of what we're going to be able to understand and share with you about it. So I think we're going to talk about some questions now, though, right?
Yes, we have some general questions. I've been writing down a lot of questions too, but I know that there are some frequently asked questions. So let's address some of those first.
Okay.
Can you use MetaPWR if you're pregnant or breastfeeding or diabetic, have hypoglycemia? How do you use those products with those circumstances?
Okay, great question. So the answer that we have for those things is we don't yet have the data behind using them for anything that would be considered kind of, a disease state for one thing, or being pregnant or breastfeeding. So that's definitely our official line. As a supplement company, we're actually not allowed to study those things without special permissions from the FDA, which at some point we may have and we hope to have. But in the meantime, the ingredients themselves don't have anything in them that necessarily gives us concern about being able to be used in those ways. So our recommendation is always to chat with a medical provider and have them read the ingredient list, see if there's anything that they have concern about. And then as we get out more publications, we also hope that that helps medical providers feel confident in using them. I will say that we have heard from people in those specific circumstances who are using them with the care of their doctor. And I'll say that the results have been amazing. So I know that depending on your level of comfort and your doctor's level of comfort, it can be done and it can be amazing.
Very good. How about children? At what age can children start using them? And then somebody else asked the size of your body. So you have a child's body versus someone who might be heavier. How does that impact what you use and how much you use?
Yeah, that's a good question. And it's part of the reason why dōTERRA often can't make, blanket statements about who can and can't and shouldn't use a product, because yes, the size of the body plays into it. Gender and ethnicity play into it. Medical history plays into it a lot. So in terms of kids using it, again, this is one of those instances where we don't necessarily have any concerns about the ingredients themselves. It is a matter of what are you and your doctor comfortable with? What are your child's needs? And what has been their medical history? So that is something to kind of think through and talk through. My son, for example, he's 15. He's 6'4" and like 280. He's a big guy. He's working on kind of some lifestyle changes, and we're working with a nutritionist, and we are incorporating some of these products. So it's really a very individual kind of a journey. But I will say that the ingredients themselves, as we know, they're very safe for many people.
That's great. I think we have to mute somebody there. How about medications? I know we have to work with our medical professionals and our doctors, but are there any medications that would interact with the MetaPWR products, or any that you would say, this we definitely know? Or as a side note to that, what if you're taking it and you're experiencing some detox? How do you know when it's detox that is good to keep pushing through, or you're having some type of body changes that maybe you should hold back?
Yeah, again, this is a good reason why we always say it's important, especially for embarking on this kind of a journey where you could be making significant changes to your body composition, your lifestyle habits. It's really good to be working in conjunction with a professional if possible, and having some baseline kinds of measurements just to compare against. That's really the way that we would be able to track that kind of progress. And that's the way that we've kind of set up the MetaPWR challenge, is to say, okay, here are some baseline measurements, and then along the way, what are we seeing? So in terms of kind of reactions, detoxing kinds of things, that's something to definitely watch out for. If it's something that's interrupting your life, causing you discomfort or issues that way, it'd probably be something to talk to a medical person about if you can. Stop the product, see if that makes a change, more positive. We've had some people who have discovered that they might be sensitive to one of the products. And so that one, if they stop taking it, they're doing much better and they can take the other products. So it's one of these things where it's really hard to make broad recommendations because it's so, the different pieces of the system could be interacting with people in different ways. So I would just say, be cautious, listen to your body. And for some people, we say it may be wise to start with one product at a time. So that if you do have any sort of, anything negative that's happening to you, you kind of have an idea of where it's coming from.
Okay, that is helpful. How about using the MetaPWR products in conjunction with other things? We know that it's awesome to take with LLV, but do we need to be concerned about taking it at the same time as LLV? Or how about with the fiber, the wonderful fiber product we have, or the protein powders, or the Terrazyme? What would be, and we've had people ask about usage, like what would be the ideal schedule? We've seen lots of different things. So in relation to the dōTERRA lifestyle that everybody on this call is participating in, how would be the ideal way to start implementing the products? And then what are some variations that some people, because I know some people have taken the advantage during the day and then they found, oh, I'm going to try it later in the afternoon. And it's been a whole world of difference for them.
Yeah.
So what would you recommend starting out and then some variations?
Absolutely. So I know some of you may have been on the last month's leadership call where Dr. Osgothorpe got on there and did the medical minute. And he was talking about, especially in terms of the advantage, where some people taking it in the morning is really good for them and they feel energized throughout the day. And some people, they feel tired, really tired and wiped out when they take it in the morning, and it's much better for them to take it at night. From what we've seen, it tends to be a little bit decided by, well, I hesitate to say that, but we know that some people, as they get older, maybe benefit from taking it in the night first. So if you're over, maybe 50, and then, again, that's just throwing it out there, that may be a nighttime thing that works better for you. So maybe start there. And if you find, oh, I'm still really tired in the morning, maybe I like to take mine as, after I work out in the morning, and that works really well for me. It really is this very individual thing. So if you remember from convention, or if you still have access to the convention videos, watch Dr. Riggs talk. This was on Friday, I think, at the end of the morning session. He gave some scenarios of people using the product. Somebody who was already, pretty well on track, ways that she was incorporating it. This was the Sarah person. And then somebody who really wanted to make some, positive changes, who really needed a little bit of extra help. And those two people, they looked a little bit different. The one who wanted extra help was taking a little bit of extra product. I think they were taking 2 advantages a day. Some people may not be able to do that. I only do one myself, but honestly, like I said, if you want to start somewhere, maybe start with one product, work it in, add another product when you want to. If your diet's already great, you may not need assist every day. I take assist with my big carb meals, but I don't take it all the time. I take advantage every day. I do my oil every day. So I'm sorry, that's not a great answer to the question because it's just so individual of what people need. I would say start incorporating and listen to your body, watch those positive changes. If you're stacking your habits and doing the other things like getting enough sleep and incorporating more whole foods and moving more, you will see change. You will see positive changes in your body. And then you can kind of see how you also want to incorporate more products, or maybe you can dial back on some of them that you've been using a lot of.
Very good. You kind of answered my next question, but some people are asking, well, what if for whatever reason you can't do one of them? You can't do the collagen or you can't do the assist. Is it worth taking the other products if you can't do the whole thing? I'm assuming you're going to say yes, but tell us why. If someone can't do one or the other, why is it still beneficial to still use the products that they can use? And if there was one product that you definitely need to prioritize for affordability, what would be that one product that you would make sure you're using daily if you can use it?
Yeah, it's a great question. And, you know, ultimately the system is designed to work really well together and to work with your lifestyle. But for some reason or another, sometimes someone doesn't tolerate one of the products or even several of the products very well. And that's okay. The good news is that these products are incremental improvements over what, you know, even just the positive changes that you would make on your own. These are boosts in many ways. And the reason that one product, that you can even be good with one product, even if you can't take all the other ones, is they're working from different ways, right? We talked about the fat management that the oil does so well. We talked about the glucose and insulin management that the assist does so well. We talked about the cellular machinery and the longevity that the advantage does so well. So these are different inroads to this giant, you know, metabolic complexity. And so anything that you're doing on that inroad, whichever product you're using and how you're incorporating it, is a boost for you. And I think that you'll find positive changes. And if it's hard to say if you were going to prioritize just one, like I say, because they're all doing something a little bit different. Potentially the easiest one to start with and the most intuitive for people, especially if they're not familiar with essential oils or doTERRA products, may be the advantage, because it's that, you know, very easy add-in drink mix. And then maybe the essential oil blend if they're familiar with oils, and that's something they can easily incorporate. And potentially, you know, the one that people are figuring out, okay, when do I need this and how do I use this, is the assist. That one I think is the most, it can be the most intensive in terms of its effect. But again, it depends on what people need. If they've already got a great diet, they may not find as much immediate benefit to that one. But like I say, I even saw benefit and didn't expect to. So I'd say it's a pretty cool system altogether.
Okay, so then let's go from the extreme, from picking one product to, are there any products that you have to limit? Like, I love the taste of the Advantage, and I could probably drink 3 or 4 of them a day if I wanted to. Would that be detrimental? Or would it be detrimental to take too much of any of these things? Are there any limitations we should watch for? And then there was an earlier question about, like, how long are these products in our system, which could be relatable. How frequently would be the limit to take them, and how long are they helping our system when we do use them?
Okay, yeah, great question. Let me start with talking about kind of maximums of use. We're studying a lot of these currently in clinical trials, so we're gathering some of that data where we're actually be able to do statistical analyses on it and stuff. But what we're seeing and what we're hearing in the meantime is that people can take several of any of the products throughout the day. You may find, based on your individual genetics, your individual lifestyle, that you eventually will end up with some kind of effects that you don't want. And at that point, you don't want to back off. So I know I was talking to one of our high up leaders who increased her Advantage to, I think it was either 2 or 3 a day. I can't remember, because she just wanted to say, okay, if one works well, maybe 2 or 3 would work better. And in her case, she started noticing that she was getting a headache and she was feeling really revved up, more than she wanted to. So she said, oh, that's not so good. So in her case, you know, she realized that one was great and she got all the benefits she wanted and didn't have any of the bad effects. So it may be something, if you wanted to try it, to see what happens, and, you know, be very mindful, not make too many changes at once, because then you won't know what you're seeing when you get the results of your own little study. For the assist product, we studied it up to 2 capsules per meal 3 times a day. And that, you know, was very well tolerated. The one effect that we did see in some of our people was they noticed kind of this feeling of bloatedness in their abdomen, which is not, you know, it's not unexpected. Remember, this is a prebiotic, kind of a sugar for your gut microbiome. So they are probably just eating that up and loving it, but it can bring some feeling of bloat to people. What we loved, though, was over time, that feeling actually dissipated at that higher dose. So we didn't see any major issues with taking quite a few of the assists every day. I don't think most people maybe want to take that much each day, but it was reassuring to us to know that there wasn't really this safety issue with taking more than just like a few assists before your biggest meal. For the oil blend, again, this isn't something that, I mean, I've heard that some people take up to like 30 drops or something. I don't necessarily recommend that much. I don't know that we would need that much. Remember, these are very, very concentrated essential oil blends, and their signals are happening at a cellular level. So a few drops, I like to kind of space mine throughout the day, because one of the biggest things that we're starting to understand better, but still trying to get a handle on, is that second question that you asked. How long do they stay in our system? How do they be absorbed? This is what we're studying with pharmacokinetics. I don't know if you've been at convention over the past couple of years. We've started talking about this fairly regularly, and pharmacokinetics is a big deal. And this is how we're going to know exactly how long they're in our system. As of right now, our studies are telling us that our bodies metabolize through the essential oils within several hours, and we're back down to almost our baseline level. So it's a very fast process. And for the most part, they don't hang around. We take them in, we use them, we metabolize them, our cells get their signals, and then it's gone. So this is why when I'm using essential oils, I typically will spread mine out if I'm taking them internally, so my body can get the signal and then it's gone, and I'll give it a signal again if I want to. Does that make sense? That's a lot of information really fast.
It does. And then I think we have time for one more question. There's been a lot of talk about, I picture breakfast, people getting their coffee and their toast. So talk about using the products with like coffee and tea and then fiber. How frequently or how close together can we use those? Can we put, I think I know the answer to this, but can we use it with coffee and tea? And how can we best maximize using the products with those things that we like to consume?
Okay, yeah, good question. Because this is, a good morning ritual for a lot of us. I would say don't do it directly with your hot coffee or tea, because, I mean, if you think about this, the collagen, what happens when you're cooking? When you're cooking something, for example, and you're cooking meat, for example, what happens to it when you get high heat? Or any protein, really? It changes. The heat will change it. It will cause it to denature, cause it to be destroyed. So basically, too high of heat is going to break down the structure of those little collagen, the hydrolyzed collagen pieces, and it will make it so that it's not as beneficial for you. I think you'd probably still get some benefit from it, but you're going to lose a lot of the goodies. You're going to destroy them with the heat. So typically, I'll have my little peppermint tea and I'll take my Advantage separately. And that way I know that I'm getting the maximum benefit from it. Now, in terms of using it with the other doTERRA products, protein, fiber, those are typically okay to use together if you want, greens, that sort of thing. It may change how you're absorbing it. It may take longer to absorb it because fiber does slow down our absorptive process. But as far as we can tell, it doesn't destroy it. It doesn't interfere with it. The one thing that we have a question on and we're doing some studies about is Terrazyme, because this is another product that actually increases the activity of our enzymes, whereas the assist specifically kind of is supposed to block the activity of a particular set of our enzymes. So those two, we're trying to get some answers scientifically, but meanwhile, I typically will separate those two by, about a half hour or so when I'm taking them before my meals.
That is very helpful. And we wanted to hear, before we signed off with you, what has been your personal testimony? We've had people sharing in the chat, like, this is what it's done for me and my friend and my sister and my neighbor. What has it done for you?
Oh my gosh. Yeah, we probably don't have enough time for me to tell you everything, but I will kind of explain some of the things, and I've shared a little bit along our way, taking the assist and being surprised with how it helped stabilize my energy throughout the day. the oil blend, taking that and kind of watching some changes in like the shape of my body. As I get older, I am not always pleased by the changes that are happening. And I'm loving how the MetaPWR oil blend is helping me keep my appetite under control, helping me kind of keep the figure that I want, that I work hard for, that I still exercise and try and have a good, healthy figure. But I think the biggest surprise to me has been the Advantage product. I started taking that and not expecting a lot, I'll be honest, because I had tried other collagen products and been a little bit burned. I do have a condition that specifically affects the collagen of my body. And it means that my joints are unstable and I have a lot of issues that way. My skin has issues and my hair falls out and I get a lot of problems. So when I started taking the Advantage, I was very careful to kind of note changes that I was seeing. And it has been unbelievable. Like the changes that I've seen, especially in my skin, how it's more elastic and more firm. Some of the wrinkles that I had been kind of getting, these deep set wrinkles, I have seen smooth out. My hair, it used to come out in handfuls when I would wash my hair, and I've seen that kind of diminish. I don't know, all these different little things in my body that I thought were just there because of age and because of my genetic predispositions, I have seen improve, much to my surprise and delight. So I think it is a kind of a combination of these things, because as I've started using this whole system in the ways that I've incorporated into my lifestyle, I've noticed, improved sleep, improved digestion. And I think everything is really just working together, and I feel better. I feel younger and more energy. And I just love that. It's been pretty awesome for me.
I'm sure the new shampoo didn't hurt that either.
That's a good thing too.
Well, thank you so much for sharing. I think now we're going to go to our wheel of names. We want to be mindful of your time. Thank you so much. You spent the last hour with us. You've ignored phone calls. You've answered our questions. You've been so helpful. And it's been such an honor to have you on with us today. But we're going to do something that we do every week, which is a wheel of names, and give away some of this great things. Would everyone like to give a little shout out to Nicole and say thank you to her as we...
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Dr. Stevens.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You
were awesome. Thank you, Dr. Stevens.
We need to slide sometime.
Yeah, yes, we did have a question. Can you send the slides? Maybe send the slides to Carrie Sammons.
Yeah,
And then she can forward those slides to us, because we did have that question. If you could give us that. And then people were asking, how do we get in the study? So if you could let Carrie know, she will pass that information along to all of us.
I sure will. We would love to have you guys if you'd like to join with us in some of these studies, and more in the future. We love it.
Awesome.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Good night.
Well, I think let's